Hello everyone, welcome back. So in our Selenium with Java series, today we are going to see how we can run our test cases by using the Docker. Okay, so in our couple of sessions, we have seen that how to use the Docker and how to use the Docker compose file as well. Like if you're not sure, I can just quickly recap. So if you would have seen, we have created a Docker compose file. It's a YML file, and then we need to run this particular docker compose file by using a up command. And now when it is running in the sense, the Docker will download all these images, and then we can run our test cases from the editor or from a command line, wherever it is possible. Now if you see that in our previous session we were using the standalone Chrome or Firefox, there is no hub and node concept. Like if you would have seen the Chrome port, this is specifically 441 actually. So if I go to the driver factory, and if you see here into the remote and then the Chrome combination, right? Now in that case we were using the 4441, and now for the Firefox we were using 4442, and this is coming from here actually. You can see that. Okay, now this is a standalone, but then there is a hub and node, the actual grid concept, the classic approach which before to Selenium 4 also they were using, right? So where I will have a hub and then there is some nodes will be there. Now those nodes are nothing but the Chrome, Firefox, Edge and all those containers will be there. Now that is what I have grabbed actually from here. Now if you see the Selenium HQ's Docker Selenium project, and there is this docker compose v3.yml, they have clearly mentioned about the hub and node concept here. You can see that there is a hub. Okay, this is one container. Now this container will be registered to multiple containers. Now each container represent one browser where you want to run your test cases. Okay, now let's come back to this first one. Now if you see here, it's a Chrome. Okay, and then this is only a node, and it is not the standalone which we were seeing before. And now the configuration is little bit different. You can see that the bus host, okay, the host is referring to the selenium-hub, and that is nothing but your actual hub name. You can see here, that is what, or the container name, you can see that. Okay, and then there is something depends on hub in this sense. First the hub will be downloaded and it is up and running, then the Chrome, because it is depending on, so there is a mandatory that your hub should be up and running. But in case of our standalone Chrome and Firefox, these are very independent. That's why we don't see any kind of depends on here. So that is the difference it is making. Now the hub will control to redirect the test cases to the specific containers. Now I will show you how to really send this data and all those things. But here two things to note here. If you see here, we don't have such port actually, like what do you call pipelining this port. This Chrome is running into the 4441, but we are redirecting to the 444. Now this 444 is a in-house, inbuilt container actually. It means that the standalone Chrome has a hub and also a node. So the same container works for hub and node, but in this case it is one hub separately, then all the nodes are isolated into multiple containers. Okay, now let me copy paste and showcase you how to run this. So let's create a new file. Okay, and let's name it as docker -compose. Okay, and then -hubnode, some name I'm giving, and it has to be a YML file. Let's add it to the GitHub, and then I'm copy pasting that. Now there is just one more thing actually. If you want the versions, you can change that. Like for an instance, I'm using the 4.7.1, which is the latest at this moment. How do you know that? Now if you come back here, you can see those all the hub and node the latest versions of this. You can see that Selenium node Chrome, the same thing you can get Selenium/node-Firefox, node-Edge, or Selenium-hub. Okay, now depending on which version of your which version of the container you want, you can just copy paste, and you can see that you can simply copy this one, paste it here. Okay, now just change this one. You can see Selenium node Chrome latest, and you can change this first line. See, we don't want to really docker pull. Okay, that docker pull we are doing based on this, I mean by using this docker compose file. That's why you don't need to really do anything. Okay, and now here if you see that there are like 3 ports allocated to this hub, actually means hub is registered to these 3 ports. Each port is allocated with a node actually. Now if you see 4442, now that is nothing but your this one publish port. Now Chrome is published into the 4442 and that is what we are attaching here. Okay, now the 444 is always the centralized port actually, that one, whether you are using the standalone or hub and node. Okay, now if I run this, like if I go to this localhost 44, there is nothing because the hub and node is not yet registered, not yet up and running. Okay, first I need to make it up and running. So for that I need to first make sure that my Docker is running. Okay, the Docker desktop which we have downloaded, right, that we have seen in our standalone session as well. So first I'm opening the installed Docker. Okay, so this is how actually my Docker engine, you can see that the Docker engine is now running actually. Now the second thing is that I need to make sure that all these ports, all these containers are downloaded and it is up and running. Now to do that, you can see there are commands actually they have already given here. If you go back to this one, they have given the commands. You can see that docker compose yml file. To use that, you need to first use this docker compose utility. Now this comes when you install the Docker desktop, so you need not to worry about that. So I will simply copy this particular command, and now this docker compose file is inside my Docker directory, right? So first I will go to the terminal, like I can use the inbuilt terminal of the editor, but you can use anything. Now this is my project directory, right? So I need to go to the Docker directory, and here I have these 2 files are there. Now I will copy paste this one which I copied from the Docker Selenium project. Now the name of my YML is different. It is not v3, it is hub and then node. Okay, now this is what I need to do, and then I can even do a -d here. So I can do detached mode, actually this one, and then you just run it. Now it is pulling all the hub and node. That is why I said that individually you need not to pull actually by copy pasting this. That pull command I am using by using the Docker compose, and it will take some time because it is the new Docker containers. Now if you would have already downloaded this, it doesn't take much time because it's already downloaded. It will just run those Dockers. Now this up, actually this command, right, what it does, it will first download all the images if it isn't downloaded, and also it will run those commands. Run in the sense, now the hub, node, registered, all these configurations whatever we have mentioned, right, everything will be applicable actually. That now that is what it is doing. And let's go down. It will take some more time, so I'm leaving for a moment. Okay, so as you can see that all the images got downloaded, and then it is also telling that the creation of the Docker is already there. Now if you go to my Docker desktop which I have installed, now you can see that the hub is now up and running. You can see that this is running mode. All the Firefox, Edge, Chrome, all these things are now up and run. It means that it is now ready to use that. Now the only thing is that we need to configure our framework, and also we need to run this test case. Now there is a slight change we need to do that. Now if you would have observed our standalone, right, we were using these ports into our remote WebDriver actually. Like if I go to this driver factory, and if you see that into the remote condition, we were using 442. and this is for Firefox, this is for Chrome, all these things. But into the hub and node concept, we don't really need to specify different port for different node. Actually, it is always by default as 4444 only, because if you see that, it is always pointing to your 444 only, your hub. There is no change here, you need to do that. Now these ports are to every node it is pointing. You can see that publish port, subscribe port, and this is your hub port actually. Now I will change this even for all the browsers, irrespective of how many browsers you are dealing with. And now if I go to my local host, you can see that now there are 3 different containers. Now hub, you cannot really see that because hub is actually registered to all these 3 different containers. This particular local host 444 is itself is a hub, and now these are the 3 nodes that is registered to here. You can see that Chrome Firefox version is 107, the Chrome is 108, and this Edge browser is 108. Okay, now if I go to this session, there is no running commands yet. Nothing is really running at this moment. Now to run the test cases, see, we know that we can run these test cases in parallel into different browsers or into a single browser also. Now that is what we were taking example of this particular, what do you call, the testng.xml we were taking. Okay, or else you can use this particular parallel. You can see here this is only one browser only here, because I haven't specified any browser. Okay, now which browser I will be specifying into my app, right? Like you have to go back to our framework creation, then only you will understand this, but I can quickly recap it. You can see that app.java, the default is Chrome browser actually. It means that if I'm running this here mvn test -d, and what is that, you can see that platform. So platform equal to, if I say remote, it means that it will run by default into the Chrome browser. Now it means that out of this 3 different node, it will just run it into the Chrome browser. How many test cases are there, it doesn't matter. But let's say that you want to run Chrome Firefox in parallel. That's where actually you need to use this particular testng.xml file. Let me go back to here. Okay, so here you can see that one test parameter that is using Chrome, another test parameter it is using the Firefox. Now if you would have observed our parallel testing, that's where you would have understood. So these parameters we will be taking to the driver factory class here as a parameterization, the testng parameterization, and that's how we will run it in parallel. At this moment our scope is to just run by using the hub and node concept. So what I'm going to do is that I will be specifying the browser from here itself only. In a sense, if I'm writing mbn test -d platform equal to remote, and then I'm not giving any browser specific preference of the browser, always by default it will run it into the Chrome browser. Let me show you that. Now I'm running this remote in this sense because it will be taking the remote WebDriver. And now if I refresh this one, and you can see that it is running into the Chrome browser. Okay, and you can see that everything is running. And if I go inside this, and the password is a secret, and you can see that the test cases are running into this. Okay, multiple test cases ran inside this. Okay, the password is always a secret, keep it in mind. And now again it is, I think it is running another test case. There are multiple test cases are there, so that's how it is running one by one. Okay, now you can see that all the test cases were run successfully, and then it only utilized this particular Chrome only. That's how we have seen into these sessions, right? Now you can see here there are a couple of errors are coming, no need to worry about that. Okay, you can see here the timeout exception actually came here for some kind of conditional logic, it failed. I think this is because we have taken valid username, I have taken as invalid actually. This is a wrong password, a wrong username I have taken. That is why it is verify login got failed here. And you can see that all the logs because for what reason it got failed, because it is trying to locate something, because it didn't log in properly, so it didn't go inside, because there is a products text it is verifying after login, because the login got failed. That's why it could not able to find that product text actually there. That's where, and you can see this title it is not able to identify, but not a problem. You can see that now I have corrected this particular test case. Now let's do one thing. I have shown how to run the test case into the Chrome browser, right? Now let's try to run it in Firefox browser. Now browser D browser here, sorry, it's always hyphen capital D you can mention, and browser equal to Firefox. The default is Chrome. If you are not specifying anything, it will take the Chrome, but if I'm I need to specify this in my command prompt actually. So hyphen D, this is the variable name, equal to Firefox. If you see that this condition it is checking here also, Firefox contains Firefox, and now if I run this test case it should pass. But let's see into the sessions, it should give me the Firefox one, and if I just, and you can see that browser Firefox, and after some time it will start running the test cases. And if I click on this and the password is secret, oops, it ran successful, I mean real quick it ran. So you have to go to this. Okay, it's all running real fast, no problem. I'll show you by removing this password, and you can see that successful login is coming here. And also it will show you the how many test cases got passed, failed, and all those things. I think it is done with all the test cases run. Yes. And then if you come back here, the Firefox ran successfully, and you can see that all the test cases were passed because I've corrected my framework. Okay, so that is how you can run in multiple browsers. And now let's say that sometimes to save time, if we want to run in multiple browsers, in a sense I want to run in Chrome and Firefox. Let's say that I have 5 test cases. I want to run in Chrome and Firefox parallelly, these two browsers. That's where you need to use the TestNG parallelization concept here, which we have already discussed about that. All the test cases you can mention inside this and you can run. At this moment I have removed that code from here, how to read the how to read the browser names from the TestNG. But if you look into my previous sessions, you will come to know very clearly. Those are very common, whether you are running into your local or into the Docker container, it is all same. Okay, now the logic that I wanted to show here is that whether you run in local, remote, GitHub Actions, browser stack, any cloud solutions you want to run it, your framework shouldn't be changing a lot of these things. And that is what we call it as a framework. Means any kind of feature we are adding, there has to be a minimal change, and your framework should able to scale up with the different features you are adding. Okay, that's where the framework building is very important here. And now let's say that now we have executed all these things. Now we need to close actually these things, because if you come back here, you can see that all the containers are still running. Like if I go to this overview and refresh it, it is all running as it is only. And now I was about to show you guys that every time when you want to click on that, if you come back to this session, there was a camera view, right? Like a camera icon where you can see live actually the what exactly is running inside your container, and it was asking a password. You can even remove that password also. Like it is again the documentation it is giving. Let me go back to the project. Let's search with Control F VNC, and if I go bottom, you can see that the VNC password is secret here. That's how I got to know from this documentation. But there is an option you can even avoid that particular thing. You just need to put this particular command, and this will not ask you next time the password here. And what I'm going to do here into this environment, I will be putting this for all these things. Okay, so after adding this SEVNC no password equal to 1, what you need to do, you need to always close your this Docker compose, and you have to rerun because you have changed. See, these parameters, whatever you are assigning, this is inside this Docker container, right? Now when we were running these Docker containers, these things were not present actually, so that's why you have to stop it and reinitiate with these parameters. So for this I will be doing this command actually. Now to down it, to down in the sense to kind of remove this running containers. If you want to stop it, you can stop it by using this Docker desktop, or else what you can do, instead of up, right, you can just put as down command, and now this will stop all of your this hub and node containers. And now if you come back here, you can see those are gone. Now you can rerun it by using these parameters now, and the same way I'll put this command up -d, and now it should run all the containers, and you can see that. And now these containers which is running, those are now coming with this VNC no password equal to 1. Now let's go back to the terminal and run this test case. Let's say I want to run it in Firefox, and enter. And now if you come back here, now it shouldn't ask you the password for the to see that. Now if I click on this, and you can see that the password prompt is gone now. And now all the test case, I think there are 3 test cases are there, those are running into sequence actually, but you can run it in parallel as well by using different commands. And everything is done, and you can see that the test cases got passed. Like this you can run. Now I haven't included the Edge browser here. Just to add that, you can do this exercise how I have added Chrome and Firefox, right? The same thing, you can add another if else condition, or change all these if else conditions to switch case as well. There are a lot of different ways depending on your skill set. You can improvise these framework concepts. Okay, so now let's say that you are done with everything. Now open the terminal again, go back to the previous terminal, and what you need to do, instead of up, you need to make it as down. Always make sure that all of your Dockers which is running, you should stop them to save your CPU usage actually. And now if you see that now the Docker is running, but the Docker containers are now no more running actually. Everything is now in ideal condition, and you should be good with that. So that's pretty much it. Hope you guys got an idea how to use the hub and node concept by using the with VNC password, without VNC password. So stay tuned and do subscribe to this YouTube channel. We will see some more interesting topics in our upcoming sessions. Thank you for watching.